Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Now, I don't know how many of you follow my Twitter account, but I did send a tweet out yesterday saying that I've been going through my emails and was suddenly seeing this astonishingly good streak of World of Tanks battles. And this is one of the battles that prompted me to send that tweet. This is Hated Fate. In the Object 430U, it's a Tier 10 Soviet medium tank. And yes, he is carrying more gold than the Federal Reserve Bank. Go on, get it out of your systems right now. Personally, I've given up complaining about it. If you don't want to see tanks firing gold, then stop sending Tier 10 replays in. Tier 10 battles in World of Tanks are balanced, and I use the word balanced in the broadest possible sense of the word, of course. They're balanced around the use of gold ammunition. There's no point in crying about it, that's Tier 10 battles for you. And now that we've hopefully all gotten that out of our system, I mean, feel free to complain about it in the comments if you want, but it's utterly pointless. Let's take a look and see what's happening. Hated Fate, because he's in a fast medium, is rushing the hill. We have a Batchat and a Manticore who've taken up the usual scouting positions, one in the bushes overlooking the swamp and one in the low ground of the swamp itself. While the Batchat is making an extremely aggressive push forward, he is not going to be the first one to die. That honour goes to P-44 Pantera, who has moved precisely 0 metres since the start of the match. I guess he just didn't like the matchmaking and decided, screw you team, I'm going home. Oh, but Jingles, he might have just been disconnected. Yeah. And he might have also just decided, screw you team, I'm going home. I know which I think is more likely when I see a Tier 8 medium tank in a Tier 10 battle. Anyway, Hated Fate taking a snapshot through the bushes there, just in case, because he did get spotted on the way up the hill, and yes, he is way ahead of the rest of his team. Because with the exception of a T-42, who is struggling to catch up within all of the other medium tanks in this battle... Oh, and there goes the Batchat. Okay. Well, that was fairly predictable. But all of the other medium tanks in the battle at the moment are kind of not doing an awful lot down in the bottom southwest corner. I mean, I get that they're trying to probe that southern flank and see if there's an opportunity to sweep around, but it's been 2 minutes now, and if there was an opportunity for it, they've probably missed it by now. Meanwhile, Hated Fate has made it to the top of the hill, and he's still waiting for his team to catch up, and he's running into some extremely large enemy tanks. He's done some good initial damage against the Skoda T-56 because he's aiming for weak spots instead of being dumb enough to try to punch through the spaced armour on the turret front. He's going to have a bit more trouble against the 50TP, however, particularly if he manages to stay hull down, but then he actually doesn't and gives Hated Fate a side shot, which is where the fact that he's got heat loaded is actually going to work against him, as this EBR picks his moment very well. Yeah, the heat detonates on impact, in this case with the tracks, and fails to do any actual damage, which is why he switched to the regular armoured piercing, because unlike the gold ammo, it's not going to arm. Ooh, that hurt. But it's not going to arm, and didn't arm, when striking a flimsy object like that shed or this pile of logs, and instead just goes through and actually does damage to something on the other side, something that the high explosive anti-tank gold ammo would not have done. Now, unfortunately, the hit from, I think it was the T-56, damaged his ammo rack, and his repair kit is on cooldown, so he's just going to have to live with a slow reload for the moment. Fortunately, some at least of the rest of his team have actually turned up. Unfortunately, the friendly Object 257 doesn't appear to be able to hit anything other than Hated Fate himself, as he aims up at the turret ring of the 50TP, which is not an easy target to hit, although it's obviously easier at this kind of range. But when a 50TP is side-scraping like that from the front, it's, well, one of the only places you can reliably expect to be able to penetrate, as long as you've got at least around 220mm of penetration. Meanwhile, as Hated Fate continues to consistently put shots into the 50TP's turret ring down to the southwest, the Tier 9 Medium Standard B has just reacted to the presence of an enemy Doom Turtle by shitting his pearly pink panties, driving into the water and drowning himself. The friendly Object 257 has finally managed to connect a shell with something that isn't on his own team, finishing off the Skoda T-56, who for the best part of the last 3 minutes has managed to survive on 163 health on open ground without any kind of cover available, without anybody thinking up until now, might be a good idea to shoot him. Right now, the enemy team have a 4,000 hit point and 2 kill advantage, with the latest kill coming at the expense of the T-61, who, along with the Standard B, not only failed to work their way around that southwestern flank, but instead have been crushed by a roller coaster of enemy tanks coming in the opposite direction and flooding straight into the base. Having finally taken the hill, the team rushed to the ledge, trying to get some shots on the few enemy tanks that are visible down there. But it's here where they start getting picked off by hidden enemy tank destroyers on the slopes of the hill, probably down in the forest, just down there. There's a Guerrilla 15, just took out the Object 257. They're now losing 3 to 6, 3 to 7. And the enemy team have a 5,000 hit point advantage. This is not looking good, but hard though it may be to believe, things are going to end up looking far worse than this before they start looking any better. Yes, that is a Doom Turtle. Yeah, that is not good. What Hated Fate is going to do here, while sniping the Doom Turtle's weak spots, he's going to try to troll him into shooting his turret. Come on, do it. Do it. Thank you. You see, this is a Tier 10 Soviet medium tank. And Tier 10 Soviet medium tank turrets are what battleships are made out of. Oh, that poor T-95. Who feels sorry for him? I know I do. The poor fool. Thinking he could take on a Soviet Tier 10 medium tank from the front. What's wrong with you, man? Yeah. Oh, wow. Behind you. Yoo-hoo. T-42. Did you not notice you were getting shot from... Never mind. 5 of them left against 10, and the KPZ-7 has found his man pants. And they're just constantly being pressured on top of the hill here, with enemy tanks coming in from both sides. Where did that little German bugger go? Oh, there he is. He just doesn't care, does he? This is definitely a no-cap kill-all moment. He totally just wanted to get some more damage in before his team won. And with only 3 tanks left alive, against 9 enemies, it's difficult to fault his logic. 9 tanks against 2 enemies. And this, right here, is as bad as it gets. 2 against 9. The enemy team still have all 3 of their tier 10s, and they have a 7,000 hit point health advantage. Under these circumstances, I suppose it is completely understandable that the enemy team have 0 interest in winning this match by capping out. But oh boy, is that decision going to come back to bite them in the arse. Hated Fate trying to finish off the Barask, but it's not going to happen. They need kills. Kills, kills, kills. They have to reduce the number of enemy guns shooting at them. They have to reduce the opportunities that the enemy team have for catching them in crossfires and taking flanking and rear shots. And if the enemy team can continue to be suckered into fruitlessly trying to pump shots into the front of a Soviet Tier 10 medium tank's turret, well then, so much the better. The pattern's down. The Manticore just hard noped right the hell out of there. The Scorpion G thinks this is a good idea. It wasn't. The Barask... oh... into the turret. To be completely fair, that was Hated Fate's reactions that saved him, not the turret on, because he turned the turret just at the right time. He's leaving the Scorpion G to the Object 705. And he is trying, but he's not going to be able to prevent that lot from getting around behind the Object 705. So I think he's thinking about it. Maybe it's a better idea to go down and with the 705 kill the Scorpion G, and then we can both turn around and face the guys sneaking around behind us. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. And there goes the Manticore. Okay, he took a hit there. Fair enough. He took another hit there. Not good. But he did manage to kill the Barask. And the Guerrilla 15 has what you would have thought would have been a guaranteed kill, but managed to aim right for the middle of Hated Fate's turret and put it into his gun barrel instead. Quickly burned the repair kit, killed the German TD, and now it's 2 against 3. And the Scorpion G isn't feeling quite so brave anymore. I think it's at around about this time when at least one person on the enemy team is probably thinking to themselves, shit, maybe we should have started capping. The scores are even. Hated Fate is a one-shot kill, but he's on a Top Gun, and the Object 705 is only one kill away from a Top Gun, and still nobody on the enemy team is trying to cap. They know where the T-95 is. He's way too far away from the cap circle to make any kind of difference, and hopefully he's dumb enough to attempt to climb the hill. Meanwhile, Hated Fate and the Object 705, who I'm very pleased to see had the foresight to form a battlefield platoon, so there's a potential brothers in arms and crucial contribution medal up for grabs here. They're working their way down the flank, and they're thinking about maybe capping out themselves, but the enemy team do have a T-54. That's not a slow tank, and he hasn't been spotted in at least a minute, so he could be anywhere by now. On the other hand, maybe sitting in the cap circle and trolling them into coming and trying to reset is the best way of finding out where the T-54 is. The 705 is heavily in favour of them both getting into the cap circle, but, well, Hated Fate has some time, because the 705 is so far behind him. Just in case there's anybody lurking on the far side of the cap circle, just in case he can spot anybody who might already be in a position to counter their capping, he's going to head further south and just take a look. Plus, he's a one-shot kill, and sitting in the middle of an open cap circle at this stage is probably not a good idea for him. The Object 705, on the other hand, does still have a sizable chunk of health remaining. So, Hated Fate is trying to persuade the Object 705 that that is in fact what they should do. He has to go and find that T-54. The T-95 is never going to make it back in time. The Object 705 can sit in the cap circle, and Hated Fate can go and find the one thing that has a chance of actually spotting and resetting them before it gets the opportunity to spot and reset them. It's still risky, he could still die doing it. Oh, hang on, somebody's capping. It's only one tank. It's been a while. It could be either of them. The T-95 could have made it down there by now. But I need to be careful, try to spot from the bushes. Oh, it's the T-54, and he's a one-shot kill. Oh, well, isn't that a shame? And he didn't get spotted. Oh, that's really bad news for the T-95, isn't it? The 705 is still asking Hated Fate to come back and cap with him, which would not be a terrible idea if Hated Fate were to retrace his steps and sneak her back around in the low ground. But I think at this point two things have just occurred to him. It might be better if he can get away with it, and he has, if he were to spot the T-95 and delay it and ensure that it doesn't get to reset the cap. And the other thing that's just occurred to him is he's one kill away from a Randy Walters medal. T-95 had his chance to kill him, missed, and this is extremely dangerous for Hated Fate. He's bounced one shot there, by the way, just bear that in mind, because yes, the T-95 might kill him, but even if he does and he's bounced another shot, bear that in mind, even if the T-95 does kill him, Hated Fate has already done the job of ensuring that the T-95 does not get to interrupt the cap. Right now he's asking the 705 to leave the cap circle so he can get the kill on the Randy Walters medal. The 705 very wisely declines. I mean, you could argue that if the 705 had left the cap, maybe Hated Fate could have gotten the kill. Maybe the 705 could have gotten the kill. It's difficult to see how the T-95 could have won. But then again, it's difficult to see how these two guys could have won against 9 enemy tanks with an 8,000 hit point advantage, and yet they did. So all things considered, I think that, well, given that Hated Fate did have ample opportunity to finish off the T-95 there, but unfortunately bounced 3 shots, under those circumstances, the Object 705's decision to, actually, yeah, I think I'll stay in the cap circle, was probably the wisest course of action. But regardless of what anybody thinks of what could or should have been done in the dying seconds of that match, neither of them have any cause to be ashamed of this result, with both of them picking up a brothers-in-arms, a crucial contribution, the 705 picking up an Invader medal, and Hated Fate finishing off the collection with a steel wall, a high caliber, and a Top Gun. Of course, despite doing 11,000 damage and bouncing 5,000 damage, Hated Fate didn't pick up any credits, of course, because, you know, tier 10 economics. But either way, both of them can definitely be proud of that result. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.